rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
The time is now 7:15 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Eastern Caribbean. And good morning. It is Friday, thankfully. I don't even know why I say thankfully because I work tomorrow. But good morning to everyone within the sound of my voice. Good morning to those on their way to work, school, just starting the day. Good morning to whether you're hearing me in a minibus right now, you're hearing me coming out the shower, going into the shower. Good morning this morning. Good morning to those in the diaspora. Wow. And those always locked on to 99.9 WEFM, the clean first sound. And most importantly, good morning to you, Christal. Welcome back.
Good morning. Welcome back. Where did I go? Good morning, St. Vincent. And where do you go? Good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Good morning, Ari. Welcome to another edition of Activated Mornings. Today is Friday, as Ari said, the fifth day of is the third. This calendar thing. I don't understand why UK and US have to be so different. We just can't have one global thing. Anyways, the third day of May 2024. WhatsApp number as usual 4579997. The number to call is also 4579997 to get interactive with us this morning. You know, I kind of smiled and chuckled to myself. Nobody saw or heard when you say those who just getting into the shower. I'm like, yeah, I ain't turn on the radio when I go in the shower.
Yeah, there are people. Turn on the show because sometimes I turn on a podcast when I'm going into the shower, and sometimes I tune in when I'm going into the shower.
It's me in the shower. See this hear this male or female voice. Well, good morning.
Yes, use the dove, not
you missed a spot.
But
it's on your back.
Last night was the friendly Vincy Heat versus Dominica, correct?
Yes, international friendly hosted by the SVJ Football Federation at Victoria Park. Dominica won, came out on top with 3-1 versus Vincy Heat. Quite a reasonable turnout. I heard a bit of chatter about the crowd, like whether it's a good one or a bad one, but I think overall it was a reasonable crowd at Victoria Park.
A lot of persons were interested in that, actually.
That's good.
I was at the gym and persons in the gym were watching, and they were very much into it, forgetting about their workout.
They should have been at the park. Hello.
That's the problem when something is live streamed, because persons now have the option to sit at home and watch it.
I didn't even realize it was live streamed. I guess it's because it's an international friendly, and the cost to get into the park was just $10 and children are free. So people don't really have an excuse with the cost there. Speaking of costs. But there's another one on Sunday.
Okay. And good morning to Joshua, of course, and he always tuned in. It's also Dominica.
Dominica what?
On Sunday.
Oh yeah. Okay, 2 matches. They're gonna have some other matches in between, before and after, like the women's and the under 17. So give everybody a little, practice and so on.
All right. So first topic of the day: PM is beefing with PNW.
It's like every week he's beefing with somebody or some entity.
Yeah, yes. You remember on Monday he was talking about his beef with Needlework?
Yeah, so welcome to the edition of Beef with the PM.
Or PM with secondary, PM versus secondary school.
PM versus. Who's coming up today? Fighting in the other color corner. I'm not sure what color is, like a universal. We should say white, because white includes Roy G. Biv. You understand? Roy G. Biv. You know the colors of the rainbow, right?
You're doing this. Coming out of the white corner, we have the ability for children to wear whatever they want for the cost of $5. It used to be $1, but now it has increased to $5, and children are quite pumped for this fight. Coming out of the red corner, weighing. We don't want to say what it weighs. We don't want to say what it weighs, we have Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez, affectionately known as Ralphie, especially affectionately known as Uncle Ralph, Comrade Ralph. He is coming fighting. This is his second match. The first one was defeated, but he is planning to take the belt this morning.
Boy, I give you an inch, you take a whole. You take your whole playing field.
Now, according to Searchlight, well, it was said on Isyuatan, but I'm reading from Searchlight right now. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez feels that charging money for students to attend classes without their uniform is creating unnecessary tensions and difficulties. The common practice of pay and wear in schools is very popular. However, the Prime Minister said, I don't support these things at all. Gonzalez aired this view last Sunday, April 28, 2024, while speaking on the Issue at Hand program on WEFM. Shout out to WEFM. He said there is a need to be mindful that in each school, there are students from different economic backgrounds, including children who are from poor families, and it may not be possible for all parents to provide the funds for their children to enjoy the days of pay and wear. The Prime Minister suggested that if schools want to raise funds, they need to apply at the appropriate time so that money can be released from the consolidated fund. He believes that students whose parents cannot afford the pay and wear will feel odd among their friends who are able to dress in the latest style. One of the moderators of the interactive program, Philbert John, spoke of the challenges of getting students to follow the school's guidelines for pay and wear. John, an educator, said students love to wear garments that are not sanctioned by the school, admitting that pay and wear is wrong in his view. Gonzalez underscored that students should not be charged for that. The Prime Minister, who has responsibility for tertiary education, insisted that any charges by schools should go through the Ministry of Education, as the present system of pay and wear is creating unnecessary challenges and difficulties. He also was not in support of teachers taking students on expensive overseas trips to assist with their foreign language, history, or geography studies. It is an expensive business, Gonzalez said on radio last Sunday. He suggested that in a class of 30 students, only 15 or 20 of them will likely be able to go on an overseas trip. How the rest students are going to feel, he questioned. The Prime Minister suggested that teachers should explore alternatives, including organizing local trips with students of history and geography. What are your thoughts?
PNY has been in for donkey years.
It's the same argument too.
Right. So my first question is it the first time you're having an issue with the PNY? Has it been mentioned before? If it has been mentioned like for a couple of years consecutively and consistently, then fine. But is it an issue that is just arising because you're now realizing that maybe a particular case came up while you're making reference to it now? That's number one. Number two, schools put forward, I don't have an issue with pay and wear. My problem is perhaps has it gotten to an extent where it is too frequent and too costly. So it happens like every month is pay and wear and you have to do this and you have to do that, and some children may not be able to afford. Maybe they could look at that. If it's once a term, I don't see a big issue, especially if it's like what, $2? How much is pay and wear? I don't know how much is
pay and wear. Pay and wear isn't that frequent. I won't say pay and wear is that actually, if I remember correctly, pay and wear would happen once in a school year or maybe twice.
That was in our time, but now what is it now? So
remember last year I was teaching. And so in that school year, St. Martin had pay and wear like once.
What was the cost for the pay and wear?
I think it was $5.
Okay, can you give a rough percentage of how many students were able to take part in it?
The question is how many students took part or were able to take part, because that's two different questions.
Took part. So how many students came to school in own clothes?
I would say 90-95%.
Okay.
Roughly.
So do you know why the other, let's say it's 95%. Do you know why the other 5% did not take part?
Yeah, I didn't inquire, but we need to also acknowledge that it's not just persons are poor are not able to. Some parents are just not for it, and some parents would make the decision not to allow their children to wear their own clothes. Maybe it's easier for them to to do the uniform laundry. Maybe it's easier for them to manage. Maybe it's part of their schedule already, and they don't want to divert from that schedule. I have no idea because I didn't look into it. But there are many possibilities why parents would not want their students to participate in PNWA. Also, the real issue as well is when children are in their own clothes, as we call it, they tend to do whatever they want. They tend to drink, they tend to hang out in places, they tend to get in all sorts of trouble. Now that they're in their own clothes, people not looking at their uniform. If they go in and thief a chance and go to a, yeah.
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 Even though they do it in the uniform too, but still.
Yeah,
right?
but outside of the uniform, it's easier.
Okay, understood. So, going back, my issue would be if it is too frequent and too costly. If parents are complaining in the drones about it, then maybe it's something that should be looked at. Why do schools raise funds in the first place? Is it out of necessity or is it out of, okay, we want this extra thing, so we're going to go outside because the government does not provide sufficient funding for XYZ project? So why do they go and raise funds?
I do believe it is that because although the PM said they can where was it? If they need
If they
funds,
need money,
should
they have to apply at a
apply to
certain
the
time.
consolidated.
So they could get money from the consolidated fund, which is
And
catching budget pretty much.
and what is the keyword there? Apply. So you can either be approved or denied. It's not a sure thing. And then we need to remember not all schools are public. Some schools are government assisted, some schools are private. So they need to raise the money in different ways.
Mhm.
So honestly, I don't have a problem, generally speaking, about PNWA. I remember when there was PNWA in grammar school, I used to really look forward to that. Get a chance to put on your nice clothes that your parents bring from you from overseas. You
Hello,
get to
pull up that tag.
Come on. You see I'm wearing Timberland. Ooh. But
Show off.
but I do see I do see what Pijan and the Prime Minister see as well. But I don't think it's enough to ban PNWA.
Mhm. I mean, as in the social implications, somebody feeling like they're not fitting in, and or having the sign of poverty like being shown right in your face. So I cannot afford this.
But
Mommy can't afford this, or daddy, so I have to sit out and feel left out.
that happens regardless because you would see students coming and some of them are able to get the brands, the Nikes, the Adidas, the Pumas, the New Balances, while others have to wear the Syrian Air. We see that happening. I remember coming up, there were students who would point out, "Hey, what's that? Is that Air? You're wearing an Air?" But I'm just saying a generic brand.
Yeah.
And there are also students who may have holes or their uniforms are hand-me-downs, so they will feel that way regardless, in my opinion. But I don't think it's enough to take away from PNWA completely. There's also what he said about the teachers taking students on expensive overseas trips to assist with their foreign language, history, or geography studies. That kind of sound like high school.
JHS is not is the only school that travels.
Outside of sports, I'm trying to remember when grammar school would go on any type of trip like that, unless it's like young leaders or some special club. But like the classes, I cannot recall. But I do
in
remember
your time in grammar school.
Yeah, at least in my time. I do remember high school going to Mexico and Belize and other Latin American countries. And I think some European countries as well, but I don't remember if it's guides or if it's classes.
During my time, there were guides trips. I remember, but I wasn't a part of guides, so I didn't feel at home.
But then even when I see
got
these people
stuff
on
when
the
they came
trips,
back though.
I didn't feel anyways. But this is a new
they
generation.
have gone to different countries, as part of their like curriculum and learning. And if it is that the teacher can go as far as raising funds and ensuring that they are able to afford it and the parents can afford it, I cannot speak to like how many students were not able to and how they might feel, but in all honesty, a part of me is saying, or to look at, generally speaking, these things happen in real, like in the real world. Well, this is the real world, but outside of school, these are things that you should expect. Like you will not be able to afford everything. You will
Yep.
not be a part of every crowd. You will not be able to attend every event. It's up to
Yep.
parents now to instill, okay, you know what? There are certain things you have to budget for. This is that. You should not be living above your means, yada yada yada. Don't put yourself in debt. Like financial literacy, I think comes in there, and a bit of some other like morals and lessons to be learned. As well as there should be a balance with, okay, maybe the school should try to be a bit more understanding to people's circumstances and situations, and be a bit more flexible in assessing things. Like
Yeah, but
I
if
would be annoyed as a parent if every Monday morning y'all coming to me for money.
but
I
if
work in a
majority
bank.
of these students, if majority of the students can afford to do it, why should they suffer for the minority?
Yes, I mean, yeah, as in opportunity to, yeah.
Yeah, but time is 7:31. It's definitely a food for thought. But the time is 7:31 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're gonna take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with our traffic talk this morning.
General Hardware still has the